How would you feel about finally getting to see USC versus LSU? We'd get to see Coach O take on his former team, and the Trojans would battle it out against one of the best that the SEC has to offer. Still doesn't quite do it for you? Okay, fine. What if those stakes were upped and we put this game on Labor Day weekend at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas? Personally, I think if that doesn't get you hyped, you're nuts. But according to SI's Ross Dellinger, we're getting this exact scenario in 2024, and it's all thanks to the new alliance announcement. And this is most likely where I'm supposed to give you my best Jim Mora impression. But you know what? Let's do it. Let's talk playoffs. Craven says USC is going to have to win every game to make the postseason, and that's definitely true. At the bare minimum level, we've seen that the competition these days, with so many good schools across the country in every conference, means a loss almost guarantees that you're out. It's no surprise Foreman is slated to start as a freshman and could provide some nice pressure on the line. On to Michael Jackson, and there are so many bad puns that I could make here, but I promise I'm not going to do it, maybe a little later in the year. He had a great spring game, including an amazing one-handed catch that had everyone on notice. This past week in media availability, London said he had just started running in late February, and his ankle still had about 15% to go. I hesitate to even give you simple math on the fly, but the calculator told me that would put him at about 85% overall health. London did say he plans to run the 40 and be fully healthy for USC's Pro Day. Week 5 and your Trojans are sitting at 2-2 as they get ready to take on Colorado. Not a whole lot went right in the showing against Oregon State last week, so the Trojans will have to do a better job of knowing their opponent, just as you should ahead of this game. The Buffaloes are at 1-3, just one game above Arizona from bringing up the rear in the Pac-12 South. They're USC's first Pac-12 South opponent of the year, and it would be kind to say that the Trojans are getting Colorado at the right time. The team has 3 straight losses to A&M, Minnesota, and Arizona State. The biggest problem for Colorado? They don't really score. They recently went 8 straight quarters without scoring a point before finally getting on the board against the Sun Devils. Hey Trojans fans, it's Sevrin Lavenstein, and while it's not election season, we're going to talk about polls. The latest college football coaches poll from USA Today is up and it's generating some buzz. Now, you have the obvious ones. Shocker, Alabama's number 1 and Clemson's number 2. Ohio State fell behind Oklahoma, who actually got 2 first-place votes, and then Georgia rounds out the top 5. But when we move down the list looking for USC, the Trojans didn't crack the top 10. The team finds themselves in the number 14 spot, which is ahead of Wisconsin and behind LSU. Oregon made number 12. What's worse is some think that 14 is too high. 247 sports reporter Brad Crawford says that USC is overrated and would be more suited to be a few spots back. Crawford and others point to difficult matchups in the schedule for this year and fluky play from last year. It's a little tough to judge this year's squad off a team last year that only got to play 5 regular season games. Criticisms of Slovis are valid, but we've heard about his nagging arm and shoulder problems from years past, and by all accounts, he's looked great in camp. Then you add some outstanding new faces from the defense to a large portion of returning players that bring all-important familiarity to the system. All I'm saying is there's as much reason for optimism as there is for negativity. But hey, what do you think about the ranking? Let us know, and of course, visit AllTrojans.com for all the latest. After a 31-16 loss in South Bend, the USC football team is looking to bounce back and avoid 3 straight losses as they take on Arizona back at home this week. This will be the 45th meeting between the two programs. The Trojans are up in the all-time series, by a lot, 36-8 to be exact. This includes a win for SC in the past 8 consecutive matchups. To focus in now on the Arizona Wildcats as they come into the Coliseum, well, they've been better. Arizona is winless under head coach Jedd Fisch in 2021. A lot of it has to do with the transfer of quarterback Grant Gunnell to Memphis before the season, and of course, running back Gary Brightwell going pro. Most recently, things haven't really been looking much better either. The Wildcats had a 16-7 lead over Washington in the fourth quarter before it quickly became a 21-16 loss. It was expected to be an uphill battle for Fisch to rebuild before the season, but after last week, Arizona has 19 consecutive losses, which is a school record. Specifically on the offensive side of the ball, Arizona hasn't been able to put up at least 20 points in any game. Now, that can be expected on a certain level when you play the likes of BYU, San Diego State, and Oregon, but Arizona is averaging 14.3 points per game, which is last in the conference and very close to last in the nation. They've also committed 16 turnovers to this point, with 13 of them being interceptions. The Wildcats have been through 3 quarterbacks, and they're currently on second-year freshman Will Plummer. But as we transition into what you should look out for, there might be someone else prone to take snaps in the backfield. Sophomore receiver Jamari Joyner has taken a handful of snaps out of the read option set in the last 2 games, and he could be set for a larger role if Arizona wants to pull out all the stops on Saturday. If you believe that Arizona will look to establish a ground attack, then you would concur with Trojans defensive coordinator Todd Orlando, who said quite matter-of-factly this week that the Wildcats were going to run the ball. Drake Anderson is head of that department in Arizona with 63 carries for 239 yards and a touchdown. One more note to check in on that really is more for Arizona to look out for than it is for the Trojans, and that's that Dante Williams said Jackson Dart is ready to go. So if things either go really well or really poorly, we might get a switch up under center for USC.